What's up, man? Look, I'm here to talk about Eagles and a little bit about the playoffs. I'll go ahead and talk about that first. Right now I'm going out on the limb and I'm picking Detroit and Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl. I don't like Pittsburgh. I'm not a Steelers fan by no means. It's one of the teams that I hate the most, actually, because of the fans. But, in my opinion, Steelers have the most complete team in the AFC. With the only team that could stand in their way and beat them possibly is the Ravens. They know how to beat the Steelers. They've done it twice. But I see Pittsburgh and Detroit, Motown versus Steeltown. So, anyway, with that being said, the Eagles, man, they got hot. 4-game winning streak to end the season. It was just too little, too late, man. So it was like the defense, especially, man, it started just like clicking and playing good and coming together as a defense. And I know I did a lot of bitching about, Andy Reid and Castillo a little bit and just everybody that I could bitch about, I bitched about, And while I was sitting back and not making videos the last couple of weeks, I was kind of this way back and forth whether I think should they just dismantle the coaching staff and fire Andy Reid and all of that. And I'm almost to the point where let me retract a little bit. I stand by what I said about Andy Reid. I still stand by that. But due to the fact that last season there was so much turnover, and I've said this many times throughout the season, there was so much turnover, man, on the roster and head coaching or the coaching staff, with so little time to come together because of the lockout. Now, it can be an excuse or whatever. It doesn't have to be, but I just believe that played a huge factor into the way this season turned out. Now, the good thing is, a lot of those players are not going to be back next year. Through this free agent frenzy. Steve Smith, bye. Ronnie Brown, bye. Vince Young, deuces. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see any of them three back. So, last year, though, the front office gave all the Eagles fans what they've been wanting, what we've all been wanting for years, really, to splurge in the offseason. That backfired on us a little bit, and I think we keep the key players. Cullen Jenkins was good, Babin was good. They're going to do good on defense, man. They're going to continue to do good. In the draft, I think we need to definitely go after a quarterback. Maybe in the early rounds. I'm not saying it's the number one need, but we got to have somebody in place. Because not Vince Young, but Michael Vick, man, he's reckless. He's reckless. Love Michael Vick as our quarterback, and I hope he lasts as long as he possibly can. But his age is getting up there. It's almost like McNabb over a little bit. A couple years younger than McNabb. But, he just plays way too reckless, and he hasn't played a full 16-game season but one time in his career. So I think we need to draft a quarterback for the future, and let him and Kafka, whoever it may be, let him and Kafka, battle it out for the number 2. I think Kafka has what it takes to be a solid number 2. I don't know necessarily to be a starter, but I'd like to see that. Get some linebackers with size, man. With size and definitely playmaking ability. You know, I don't think we had. You know, I like some of our linebackers. I just don't think we have that one linebacker that just dominates. You know, and I'm not saying that it's going to be easy to go out there and find a Ray Lewis or a Urlacher or, you know, anybody like that, but we need a solid playmaking linebacker that gets around the field, and, you know, I don't feel we have that legitimate guy yet. We need to build a linebacker core. You know, Asante, I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if they're gonna. I haven't really. I've been trying to keep away from the NFL news lately because I've just been so aggravated with the season, and we're not in the playoffs and all that. So I haven't really heard anything, if there is anything, about Asante. Talks about him being traded, staying, or whatever. I hope he stays, man. I do. You know, his numbers were down this year as far as interceptions and things like that. But when you got two guys like Asamoah and Rogers Camardi, you know, nobody's, you know. So, I mean, it kind of dilutes itself out a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So, he's still, you know, he's still worth definitely keeping. Secondary, Kurt Coleman, man, he has flashes. He has flashes of greatness in games, man. Like the Redskins game had 3 interceptions, you know. But then there's times where he just completely blows tackles, and, you know, well, the whole defense had an episode of that throughout most of the season. But, you know, safeties and linebackers would be, in my opinion, number one priority on defense. You know, I don't really see a whole lot of issues with the offense. Get some solid depth at offensive line, and get a quarterback to back up Vick. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to see, man, from the Eagles this offseason. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping. Let's backtrack a little bit, man. I'm scattering all over the place, but about the coaching staff, man, I'm willing to give Castillo one more season, you know, because we did finally get to see what this defense can do. Finally, towards the end of the season, the last 4 games, and it was they played pretty good, pretty damn good, you know, and it started to come together, and I don't want to see no massive overhaul with the roster or coaching staff. It's just too much, man. And last year proved that. So that's that, man. I'd say give Castillo another chance. Lurie already said Andy Reid's gonna be back next year, so we're gonna just have to deal with it. So that's that, man. Hopefully next year. I really believe that next year we will be playing and contending one of the, you know, for the title, man, for not the NFC champion or, you know, NFC East or the NFC title, but a Super Bowl title. I think next year we will be strong contenders. You know, this year was just a flop of you know, but next year, man, I really honestly can sit here and say that I honestly believe that we will be back contending hard and be a big player next year throughout the season. We'll have a full off season. You know, it'll be good, man. And I think DeSean Jackson, they'll throw the tag on him, and he'll be back. I didn't like his attitude this year, too. I've expressed that, too. But, well, you know, bring him back, man. I mean, he's a big part of the offense. As long as his attitude's right. I didn't like that attitude he had this year, so. But, you know, bring Castillo back. And, yeah, so my checklist for this offseason. I believe Castillo will stay. I think Andy Reid's going to keep him. Linebackers, safeties. All right, offensive line depth, and a backup quarterback through the draft to hopefully be our future quarterback, not no Kevin Cole bullshit. So those are pretty much the 4 things that I'm wanting through, through the offseason. So that's that, man. Disappointing season, man, and all of us Eagles fans can relate. But, and one quick thought too, man. I think it's kind of funny that, as bad as the Eagles are, we only finished 8-8, which isn't horrible, but as bad as the Eagles have been, man, we're still 5-1 in the division this year. And the next closest best divisional record is the Cowboys and the Giants. I believe both went 3-3. And then the Redskins, they're the Redskins. So, as much as we suck, and people want to call us a horrible team, we still pretty much own the division still. 5-1. And the division champs are 3-3 in the division. 500. In my eyes, man, we're still the king of the East, so peace. Go Birds.